Hi, you perverts. Happy New Year. It's Chaos Hour. Thank you for staying, you degenerates. My heart is so full after today, it's practically gaping. So we can stretch it a little further. I'm so excited to introduce this first reader, Hannah Bear. Hannah Bear is a writer and therapist based in New York. Please welcome Hannah.
While I'm reading, I want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, to touch the people who are near you. Like especially to press your weight into each other, but really any kind of touching, I think it will make sense in a second. So I had a dream while I was laying in a pile with all the friends on Christmas that there was a nightclub where everybody laid in a pile. In the dream, the nightclub was very dark. In this way, it was like other nightclubs. But unlike other nightclubs, however, the floor was immaculately clean. In fact, the floor was furniture. There were ridges and divots and cushioned pits where everyone could fold their bodies on and into one another. The configuration of people in the dream was specific, like a ritual where the same 10 to 30 people, or 10 to 30 bodies, were usually in the same pile at the club. Others would come hang or fold in or chat or ask for advice, kind of like a writhing, gay, sedated oracle. It would be okay if people in the pile fucked, as long as it was slow movements and didn't disturb the gestalt of the form. The intertwining of limbs. The pile isn't for fucking, though. It is, as some might say, weirder than that. The pile also isn't for losing yourself exactly, or everyone at this club in this pile takes sedatives reached around using arms tucked behind necks or thighs to do drugs in noses or under tongues, dissolved in liquids or vaped from pens, but no one has to stop being themselves. They just have to assent to sharing their self, sharing their body space, their mobility with the pile, assenting to giving up a little autonomy in exchange for the feeling of being part of a whole. Yourself and its attendant desire can persist, but it has to ride along parallel tracks with everyone else's desire. It's not that your desire isn't special. Your desire is integral to the pile's tapestry of slow winding, interlocking desiring. Your desire is part of the feeling everyone gets of being pressed up against others whose desire is intact. The pile does not erase yourself, your desire, your shame, your regret, your feelings of inadequacy. The pile doesn't get rid of political problems, or even more basically, inequalities or unfair or baseless hierarchies. You're allowed to talk about these things in the pile if you want, but you actually don't have to. Unless you're pressed up against me. In the dream, the pile was a ritual. People came back to do it over and over. In real life, when I was lying in the pile on Christmas, having the dream, I wept, though not sure why. Maybe because it's actually quite painful to have desire, or painful to have a self, or painful to not be able to lose yourself at all, even if you're in a really Baroque, immersive pile. That's why it's healing that the pile recurs, so you get to do different versions. If everyone in the pile is allowed to have desire, it follows, or rather stands to reason, that everyone in the pile also must have pain. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Our next performer is Kamikaze Jones with Liam O'Brien. Kamikaze Jones is an interdisciplinary artist whose work explores extended vocal technique, queer hauntologies, and ritualized erotic transcendence. His work has been featured by Black Mountain College Museum, Wave Farm, and Anthology Film Archives. He currently serves as arts editor and chief filth correspondent for Wussy magazine.
All right, here's to embracing the art of queer failure, everybody. Ready, set, go. Je ne sais pas qui tu peux être, je ne sais pas qui tu espères. Je cherche toujours à te connaître, et ton silence trouble mon silence. Je ne sais pas d'où vient le mensonge. Et c'était ta voix qui était. Le monde malgré moi, j'ai plongé. Sont comme un tunnel qui m'effraie. De ta distance, la mienne, on s'est peur bien trop souvent. Et c'était à te comprendre. C'est courir après les vols. Je ne sais pas pourquoi je reste dans une mer où je me noie. Je ne sais pas pourquoi je reste dans une qui m'étouffera. Tu es le sang de ma blessure. Tu es le feu de ma brûlure. Tu es ma question sans réponse. Mon cri muet et mon silence.
Thank you, Kamikaze. Thank you, Liam. And thank you to the sound team who've been going so hard all night. You guys fucking rock. The entire production staff and all of our volunteers have been working so hard. It's such a blessing. Our next reader is Rebecca Teich. Yes, oh, there we are. Yes, wonderful. Rebecca Teich is a writer, curator, and PhD student at the Graduate Center, whose chapbook, Caffeine Chronicles, was published by Portable Press at YOLO Labs in 2021.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to get introduced by Kay when I've also had the honor of introducing her as brilliant everything. Life is a sentence of days and nights. Life is a sentence of days and nights is a sentence I transcribed to produce this sentence of Alice Neal's, pointed out by Rye, who punctuates that day, many days, many nights, my sentence. The sentence is its impossibility grounded in the period. I mean that in all ways, just as in the same moment I'm testing provocation. Right now I'm reading two books that are full of sentences of days and nights, layered as both firm claim and desirous plea, written about 150 years apart. Here's a sentence of days and nights from one of those books. Even the idea of day and night, which in the old statutes was peasant simplicity, became so confused that an English judge as late as 1860 needed the penetration of an interpreter of the Talmud to explain judicially what was day and what was night. Here's the sentence that follows. Capital was celebrating its orgies. As someone invested in inversion, I believe the best orgies are the ones that do not celebrate capital. It also logistically helps if it is at night or captures the ideas of night and not the ideas of day, which has more to do with the accumulated significatory ambience and less about when the sun is out as an indicator of when people's supposed free time does or does not occur, because the working day as euphemism no longer and never was conscripted to the daylight hours, unleashed from the constraints of the broken clock to swallow all that is moment. A few hours before one orgy I attended, I was stricken with nerves around the spontaneous meeting of two of my beloveds, and stricken as well with the way that that feeling contradicted many of the sentences that formed the core premise of a reading group I facilitated, that formed some of the core premises I hope to craft my movements around. Some of those core premises include the ethical potentiality of the crush, opening up to new affiliations, beginning from and growing from a groundwork of abundance and not fear, that others hopefully begin there as well. A sentence written down in my notebook from during that time reads, "Let us crush more generously." Another reads, "Crushing is a reinterpretation of the everyday." Another, "What kind of fucking will outlive capital?" Sometimes we have to work to become more like our sentences. At best or at worst, or more likely inevitably, our sentences punctuate each other. So we rearrange the mirror so that we all, and others too, could always be able to see each other from multiple vantage points, and in this arrangement, that was also an opening up, I was put to ease. As night turned back into day, I took a moment to break pieces of freshly re-dried wax off the futon's lush red feathery cover. The hosts had to take the futon cover to the dry cleaners the next day, so unfortunately, I confess, I don't think that night's fucking outlived capital. Whether love or its action is never looking at each other, but looking off approximately towards the same things, often unclear, often multiple. Our looking too is multiple, and there's beauty in that. Every Sunday, or nearly so, sitting in a circle, looking at an object, and learning how others look at that same object, one voice refrains in asking us to return to the chrysalis, and another takes us to a footnote. I hold a dry orange peel and I catch my breath. Fixate on the ghostly outline of contact. The hand outstretched animates the fruit as co-conspirator. A sentence cannot make anyone do something, and if that's true, then all sentences are really just questions. A sentence makes us into someone, and if that's true, then I am that sentence. I am someone. Does a sentence need to be true, or does it need to be effective? Every Sunday, during the point at which day meets night, I write things down that those around me say, their sentences, and briefly, I become them. I don't think sentences are bricks, but paragraphs are certainly shaped like them. At the end of the day, there are objects beholden to gravity, rent, friction, hunger, and spring. At the end of the day, there's night. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Becca. Our next reader, Wo Chan. Wo Chan is a poet and drag artist who performs as the illustrious Pearl. They are the author of Togetherness, which Nightboat released this fall.
Hi, everyone. Thanks. Hi. Thanks for being here. I'm just going to read a poem. At nature, where nights I go pre-verbal, want to be held at bay, where gosh, darn, I'm a sorrow process. With regard to the parts of us touched by salt, the parts of us unleavened by air, it can be extraordinary that some things hold so unfixed. As a child, I wanted a further earth, less boring, where I could be adorned repeatedly, if not so pearly, this earth to be crowned with fish and falling fire, its mighty caverns that make the skein of stars itself a roof. You say, look at those flowers, they look sad. I say, flowers don't have feelings. And also, do you want to talk? Lying anywhere on our backs, the earth is cold. Water is itself, as am I. I do love us. Nature, don't be so sentimental. We all lose things. One's own mind is a beautiful thing to spend time with. One's own intentions are a formidable force. One's own sadness comes as no surprise or not at all. One's own eyes are always adjusting to light. One's own mouth is a large bully fish. One's own throat, a dollar store thimble. One's own happiness evaporates. One's own thinking is a danger to civil people. One's own hatred makes one itchy and shameful. One's aloneness drills a hole in concrete. One's solitude digs a singing well. One's own 10 toes fall in holy matrimony. One's own teeth are white mares in the stable. One's own teeth are sometimes gold. One's own fears are just outside. One's own dreams are opening like a fist. One's own ideas float like icebergs on Earth's end, clear cubes in one's coffee, where one's own body in a bathtub is a serious gift, wrapping one's own femurs, mastoids, fiber, and the soul, where one's own soul stretches thin roots, hair that sees no light, wrecked, dried, or drowning. It is that one who stalks and feeds their sensitive destiny, curling with decision, ripe as one's soft fruit face is carved into something somehow wet and twisting and symbolic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Woe. Our next reader is coming to us from the other coast. Please welcome Cyrus Dunham. Cyrus Dunham is a writer born and raised in New York City and living in Los Angeles.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. In the green room, there are 3 of us. The other 2 are blonde, I'm not. My parents are asleep in the front of the apartment. The lamp is on, and we're whispering. We end up in this place, asking him to show us. He's wearing athletic shorts and high white socks. He pulls the shorts down, and he pulls it out. We're 11, and he's still shorter than me. But he grows in front of us, and it's adult. We touch it the way you touch a lizard or a snake you're afraid to touch. Alive, like it has its own will. First hesitantly, pulling the hand back rapidly, then for longer. I had the sense it was separate from him. Alive, it had come to life. His name was Julian. It was an extension of Julian, but it also wasn't Julian. It was him, and it wasn't him, and it wasn't me or mine. The skin was like sticky paper wrapped around something hard, a new kind of skin I hadn't touched before. He didn't seem to enjoy it at all. The other girl sat behind him, her legs jutting out at an angle matching his, and she reached forward like she was reaching around and grabbing herself. He says he's going to finish, like the end of everything is near, and she says, I don't want to see it. She doesn't want to see the end. She doesn't want the world to end. He says he has to, or it will hurt. We tell him to go to the bathroom and do it in there. We say, do it in your hand and show us. We don't want to see the end, but we want to know the end was real. He goes in there for a minute and comes back in with his hands cupped. The end looks like glue to me. She sticks the tip of her pointer finger in it, then mimes throwing up. Now he's soft and a kid again. He always wore a blue Adidas zip-up and smelled like scented detergent. His dad was an actor on One Life to Live. One time his dad took a group of us to set with him, and we watched from behind the camera while Kevin, the dad, fake cut his hand with a shard of glass. You see, Kevin played a violent rapist sociopath on the show who was so handsome that no woman couldn't love him. He winced as he sliced his hand. After the scene was over, he showed us a little plastic sack of red liquid and explained how when he sliced his hand with the glass, he sliced that little pouch. What looked like blood was not blood. I am not in that green room anymore. I wasn't content then, and I am not content now, although I wish to be. As long as I have contentedness as a frame, I won't be. As long as I have framing as a frame, I will be inside the frame and aware of all there is outside it, all there is elsewhere, every pixel I am not. As long as there is a place I am not, I will be more that place than where I am. I will be creating difference. I will be differentiating, and I will suffer. I've said it now, and it is, and it must no longer be said, but what I want to say is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said it, and I'm sorry I said sorry. And there is always another sorry that no one can believe enough to make it real. I am sorry. I am not saying I am sorry. I am saying I am sorry. That is what I am, all I am. Sorry for my fixation on what I'm not and what it's like to be close to someone who isn't ever where they are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. When this next performer said yes, I lost my shit, and I don't think I found it yet. Please welcome Christine. Christine is a raw spirit of ferocious music, unabashed sexuality, and fiery, intimate stank.
Hey, y'all. My name is Christine. I'd like to thank Kay for being the captain of the ship, and Kyle Nagulian, that's the one with the blue hair that's been running around making order. I'd like to know how many people in this room have been here since it started. Holy fucking shit. I'm seeing you here, you hot fuck. If you need release later, I'm here for you. How many on this side have been here since this shit started? You over here, you in the black over here, yeah. You look like Princess Julia on a good day. I really am intrigued by you fucks who have been here since the start. I really don't think they manufacture or naturally produce drugs that can create the feeling that you might be feeling right now. I think it's a real thing. If you're here from the start and you're here right now, there's no manufactured or naturally produced drug from the, what is that place in the West Coast? Where is it called? The Joshua Tree? Fuck that place. So, all of you who've been here since the start, you are the new drug of 2023. I wrote this shit on a train today. From upstate to down here. I brought a pot. Oh, and by the way, this tree, there's a keyboard underneath it. And I've been sitting on the floor over there, and all the artists who are outside smoking cigarettes, the draft comes from outside into the room past the tree. So, that tree is bad news, y'all. It may look real nice and all holidays and shit like that, but it's bad fucking news. It smells like old cigarettes, and it's got a goddamn synthesizer keyboard underneath it. Do not trust something that looks pretty, y'all. Right. Oh wait, hold on. Could I get some reverb on my microphone? Whoever the magical technicians of this entrepreneurial investigation we're doing into the human lifestyle, I would love some reverb on my voice. Give me some Vaseline that makes me sound like Sybil Shepherd. Ride hard, you delicate shards of exploding stars, gas and dust of space, formed and fashioned into the who you are. Ride hard. Grab hold and lift it up so that you will reach the next station of this fucking great adventure. A conjunction of chaos and function on this cosmic hell train that does not explain timetables, schedules, or dining car options. Ride hard and force a course for yourself to leap outside of comfort, to penetrate the pitches of black and navigate the unknown. Ride hard. You weary fucking wanderers. Let your form find physical pleasures that they may call unnatural and unidentified identities sexual, that they may kneel and pray to heal. Ride hard. You shits. Do not forget your fucking manners. Ride make them come true. Ride hard. Believe in all you fucking do. Ride hard. Ride hard. Ride hard. Ride hard. My name is Christine. Happy fucking New Year.
Y'all do stuff like that and expect me to just act normal on this mic. Okay. Bitch. Our next reader is Stephen Ira. Stephen Ira is the author of Chasers, a chapbook, and he lives in Brooklyn. Please give it up for Steve.
Hi, I have Chasers in my bag to purchase. If you ever have experienced Chasers, this book might interest you. I'm gonna read you a poem called Vibrators. Thank you, yeah, that's right. Straight people believe in vibrators. I don't think gays believe in vibrators. Gay people know about Hitachis, but that's not the same as believing in something. Hitachis are pragmatic. I almost don't think of them as vibrators. But straight people believe in vibrators. They do. The way I did when I was a little girl. Straight people believe vibrators give orgasms to women. My mom did a pretty good job explaining masturbation to me, making sure I knew everyone did it. But I took touching your clitoris too literally. I just kind of tapped it. I didn't come. I thought it was broken. Now I'm a man, so there's no reason for my mom to feel she failed me. With her from California and an artist and all. What a sad story of the 1970s that would have been. If you want something done, you gotta do it yourself. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple, I'm gonna do two more. Does anybody here read My Side of the Mountain when you were a kid? It's a great book, yeah. So this is a found poem that is just the titles of the chapters from My Side of the Mountain. I work with kids, and I've been thinking a lot about the sex panic that is like afflicting queer and trans kids right now. And I was thinking about that, and I was reading this book, and I was like, fuck, this book's really good. Anyway, this is this poem. It's called, oh, it doesn't have a title. We'll find out later. I hole up in a snowstorm. I get started on this venture. I find Ghibli's farm. I find many useful plants. The old, old tree. I meet one of my own kind and have a terrible time getting away. The king's provider. What I did about the first man who was after me. I learned to season my food. How a door came to me. Frightful learns the ABCs. I find a real live man. The autumn provides food and loneliness. We all learn about Halloween. I find out what to do with hunters. Trouble begins. I pile up wood and go on with winter. I learn about birds and people. I have a good look at winter and find spring in the snow. The spring in the winter and the beginning of my story's end. I cooperate with the ending. The city comes to me. Isn't that crazy? It's like a gay Bildungsroman. Okay, I'm going to do one last poem. I had the opportunity at one point to share this poem with a poet I respect very much, and she circled one of the lines and she just wrote, no. It's the Robert Lowell joke, so that's probably why. I don't know if that means she's pro or anti. But anyway, look out for that. That's fun. This poem's called I My. And it's from Chasers, which you can purchase if you come to me. I described you to Mackenzie as my loved one. Don't see why I'd slow down for my heart when I waited for so long to speak. I did, right before I came here. For you, I wrote poems that everyone loved, except those who resent my success and wore a cream called skin food. The more you grieved for nothing, the more I sang to you. And then the more refined the people got who heard my little trill. I was scared of the other trans poets finding out that I'd fallen in love. I, my own loyalty, I who grew up too young and alone for allegiances, resolved, I'll make my poem such that the man I love can't leave its lines. I'll name his difference from me like a hiss. I, my persuasion, confused, saying to all your kind, be brought to my side. I, poet self, transfigured into tiny icon, peering from my open mouth. I'll take your body in my lips and with it tell the truth. I, my disavowal different. I went to work on it, I know. So weather it I am, so pixie-faced, structuring courtly love so long from its outside. I insist. I, my essentialist typewriter burning so that I cannot touch you, little lord surviving his own will's rainbow, dense and unlikable to myself as cake. Could have solved this whole problem through getting less interesting. I wrote to you. I want Hollywood. I, my won't leave behind lyric problems. I, my realisms, pulling off experimental so long without pulling my weight. The thing is, I remember, even up until 2012 or so, it seemed really experimental for transsexuals to write lyric poetry. I have loved you. I have taken advantage of this. Thank you very much.
I don't think I remember my side of the mountain, but I do remember that the illustration on the cover was of a really hot man. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, he's a really hot man. Okay, great. So my memory is correct. I don't remember the content at all. I just remember being horny at like maybe 5 or 6 for this man on the cover, which is to say we're not transing the children. They already trans the children. Anyways, our next performer is Yvonne LeBihan. Yvonne LeBihan is a poet and performer living in Queens, New York.
Thank you. Hello. This one's on. This poem is called Make My Coffin. Could I kill an American soldier when the time comes? And it's almost like the wait is even worse. The inevitable denial of not mob mentality, a theoretical idea, a reduction to the one, asymptotic transcendental eruption toward a glowing numeral congested to zero, the macho individualism, the one of John Wick, of the Skywalkers. Have you ever seen someone get shot in the head? A bullet goes over 700 miles per hour. The body crumples. It's like getting hit in the temple with a tiny piece of a Grecian urn, 2 times the speed of sound, which, oh my thoughts, oh the voice in my, please liquefy my brain. The strings are cut. No dramatic Marvel battle pauses as the final villain orgasms to comeuppance for us. Why is it taboo to show menstrual blood, but not a henchman getting his father's last words splattered over a marble wall hung with Instagram filters? And what did they say? The words, I mean, not the filters. Though ultimately, no matter how fake, the light is what they mean, some kind of light, some source of it. Like Hemingway cucking Francis Macumber, then spitting on the wife when she kills her husband instead of the lion. But the lion was already dead, his face blown away with a shotgun, not even his skull anymore. A throne for the sun inside, turned into this hollow cavity, Plato's cave turned irrevocably inside out, nuptialed with blood. Now the cave is the sunlight. The tiniest point of renewal is the dream. A pixel, a gnat. We've been hitched to the sun, and our necks are strapped in so that we can no longer turn away from it, ultimately what is just the White House, which must cast a long white shadow. Is it logical to kill to get rid of the internet? I mean, to kill so you never have to use the internet ever again. This amulet of digital gas invented by and for the nuclear family. And on January 6th, they almost got Mike Pence. Where was the military then? You know they'll be there when the Republican majority refuses to recognize a Dem president to stop us. What will I do then? Would I kill? Why not? Because I'm afraid of becoming a rag doll like that? Darling, I already are, as if what you are experiencing right now is really living. John Cage said, if it doesn't sound good in the first 10 minutes, do it for another 10 minutes. And if it still doesn't sound good, do another 10 minutes, then another, and then you'll have something. But I can't say the same about this repetitive performance of myself, which is just remaining over and over again, not a stepping away, but as an action, not a neutrality, this arpeggiated perpetuation, the sustainment of not movement, not change, null as a chunk of silicon with a shock run through me because, it's still a stone. Would it be any different what his corpse would look like? Thanks.
Give it up for Yvonne. And give it up for transing the children in 2023. God, I love you guys. Our next reader is very dear to my heart, Andrea Avi Karam, who is the author of Villainy and a Leo. Woo!
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you, Poetry Project. So this is a new poem I wrote today, mere hours ago, hot off the press. Baby Grand. In the midst of the cotton candy light sensorium and sweat-studded house beats, there's a space beyond language you enter with someone on the resonant frequency. As poets, we drench language in truth and excess, like the metal cage at the club adorned with subwoofers, intersected full curvature bass that makes you breathless. The catwalk an industrial sternum to protect the beating crowd from the blunt trauma of silence. Palms against the sweating aperture of teasing angular momentum, yelps in response to my leather flogger on your asses strobing through the thick, sweaty air. We are in a moment of transition, ripped through to the next, unimagined, rich with a disturbing amount of pheromones. Your iliac crusted with every convulsion, my hand sinks deeper inside of you, reach beyond the sound cage to the origin of rhythm. Your baby grand nails, sharp and precise, score new compositions on the staves of my back, long and fermata. Each sharp key taking its time along vertebra, I exhale, let my ribs expand, needing your incised topography to chart the journey through, ever amazed at my capacity to learn. I've pushed through integrals and circuits and synthesis, yet more amazed at our capacity to learn from each other, the way you challenge me. I hold your entire head against the closet door, let you scream into my ear, drown out disconnection. The large gold-rimmed mirror reflects how hard and how bad I want you. Pressed vertical and vibratory, I could stay up with you all night effortlessly. Winter sun peeks through the window over 125th Street. Instead of tired, I feel unstoppable, refreshed by this reminder of blood and sweat, my entire hand down your throat. Two of your tall baby grand nails reach in to touch the source of my language, saliva, French tips. You knew what you were doing, you said, about the closet door. I did. I wanted you to see how good I look and how bad I want you. Force as evidence of bass that makes you breathless. You bite my ear, the cartilage hard for just a second. Reminded too of the force housed between your teeth. Slide your jaw down my neck, tempt each tendon. When the scratches on my back heal, I am devastated. You promise to make them last longer next time. Thank you.
Wow, hot. Okay, so to give you all a preview of where we are, we have 2 more performers in this hour. You're going to want to see both of them. Then the staff and volunteers are going to read, and that's when it gets really crazy. So I invite you to stay for that as well, the final hour of the marathon, which will be hosted by Becca Teich and Rai Dunn. And our next performer is Rai Dunn. Rai is a multimedia poet and visual designer living in Brooklyn, New York, and also my birthday twin. Give it up. I have high hopes. Especially since this was a synthesizer that gave Christine so much trouble. Now we know what it was for. But it's full of cigarette smoke.
To make it up this walk together. I love the way your hair always seems to be refracted waves. A pleasant breeze chills the back of our necks. Winter whispered in its undertones. You let the sheets curl up in our imprint. I stretch them out to feel the furthest reaches of our toes. How do you feel about... I'm on the bus, thinking too much. Look in the places where my heart bleeds. I like when we are all set to care for one another, based on mutualism. Time is fecund in its divine omniscience. And take this deck and read each other kindly, even when you don't believe. We take the bus home to each other. We mimic each other, not unlike a mirror. We parallax as our interlocutor. I am one point and you another. The thoughts can either continue to unravel together quilted, balance the spears of a breath on flesh. We caress silence as an objective course in how to love. Fingers on woven tones of denim. As my legs cross, you let out a little cough. Every breath we... Did you notice then that you're not alone? To witness the moon, how it so elegantly reflects the sun. We took the L train to see some poetry on this day in 2020. It's been a while since we lay about on the floor of St. Mark's Church in the Bowery, right there at the base of the pew behind that Christmas tree, held together in a pile. Within the sanctuary, we came to worship our parallax, our belonging to one another, our life in this oyster shell, shucked and perfect.